Welcome everybody. I thought we'd do another one of the series of toys from my attic, and this literally is something we had to drag out of storage. We're going to talk about the Sota Sapphire. I believe this is a Mark III. I'll get into all the details in a moment, with the eminent technology air-bearing arm. I lusted after the original Star Sapphire for when it first came out, so back in the 80s, I guess mid-80s, but I couldn't afford it. It was just way too much money. And so I ended up buying the VPI HW19. I think it was a Mark III. Finished in acrylic black. It was gorgeous, and it had the same exact tone arm. I kept it for many, many years, loved it. But all the time I wanted the Sota, and the reason I wanted the Sota is because of its incredible engineering. Some of you who are old enough may remember this turntable, and interestingly enough, the company's still in existence. If you search Sota turntables, you'll find them, and they've got, of course, all new products, and they're still servicing and supporting these products. Great buys, just right off the bat. The designer, his name was David Fletcher. He was a physicist who worked for Berkeley UC Particle Lab. So very, very smart guy. Had also started Sumiko. Anyway, long story short, what makes this particular turntable interesting, there are a number of very interesting features. First of all, this one has the vacuum platter. So you'll see this lip over here. When you put the platter on, the record on, you then put the clamp on, and then there is a separate module a vacuum that when engaged sucks the air out of between the record and the platter, and it goes flat. And when it's done properly, all you have to do is tap like that, and it will sound like a dull thud as you are doing that. That's when you know that the vacuum has done a good job. When it first starts, you will hear this loud compressor noise, and then it goes down to a very, very quiet, consistent vacuum every few minutes or so, just to maintain the vacuum. So I always wanted that because I used to buy records from garage sales and flea markets and so on, and the records are obviously not necessarily in great shape, so this really helps. The other interesting thing, it has an inverted bearing. So one of the first turntables, if I remember correctly, that had an inverted bearing. So unlike a regular platter where you have the bearing going down into a well, this one is actually going up. The new VPIs, many of them have the same idea. So the center of gravity is very low as a result, and stability is very, very good. So it's basically right underneath in the center of the platter. The other thing is that the thrust pad is made of sapphire, which is extremely low friction. So as the platter is spinning, you have very, very low friction and therefore long life reliability. And that's why they call it the sapphire, because it was using the sapphire thrust pad. And then the other thing that's interesting is that underneath this arm board is a well, and you fill it with lead shot to balance the subchassis and therefore give you better stability and balance. And then the last thing but not least, it's a 4-point spring suspension. Many turntables today use compressed spring suspension designs. So in other words, you have the subchassis sitting on top of the springs. Sota decided that it made more sense to actually extend the spring. So in other words, one part of the spring is attached to the upper part or the under part of this turntable, and then the other part of the spring is attached to the subchassis. So when it's all assembled, it's actually pulling the string apart rather than compressing it. They felt that it worked better and it was more stable. So that's some of the features of the Sota Sapphire. The eminent technology tone arm, as I say, I owned it with my VPI. I absolutely loved it. It was an incredible feat of engineering, especially for its time. And I don't actually think that there's many tone arms today that can say it's significantly better in any regard. So right off the bat, it's a linear tracking tone arm. So when you put your record on, the cartridge is mounted there, of course. This is not set up. This has just been taken out of storage. So this is needs to be done, cleaned up and set up properly. But once the cartridge is set up properly, it's tracking across the groove this way. And it's always at a 90-degree to the groove. And so you are at the correct pickup point. A typical pivoted tone arm doesn't sit at exactly 90 degrees except for, if I remember correctly, only about 2 points. So this is remarkable. The other thing that's great is that it's an air-bearing tone arm, and so again, it's attached to a pump. It goes and you can put the pump well away so you don't hear the noise of the pump, and air comes out of this arm tube here, and when it's all set up properly, the arm literally moves freely. You can just slide it. It's incredible to see what it does. The tone arm also has adjustable VTA. I have to find the little metal tip that comes out of this hole, and once it's put into this hole here, you can actually push down or pull up, and as a result, this whole tone arm assembly goes up and down for VTA adjustments. And over back here is your counterweight setup as well. This was designed by a gentleman called Bruce Thickman. Again, Eminent Technology is still available. They're still servicing their products, and the gentleman who designed this, very innovative, very, very smart. Love this tone arm. When Sota was first introduced, again, I guess probably late 70s, early 80s, it was one of the top turntables that you can buy. Certainly there were more expensive turntables, but it was generally considered one of the very best compared to VPI, Lin, Oracle, and so on. I certainly thought it was amazing. It's not necessarily quite as cosmetically interesting, but I absolutely loved it. And the ET2 turn arm, oh my God, I have such great memories. There were some issues for sure in terms of the fact that it's fussy. From day to day, you might want to adjust the Litz Litz wire, tone arm wire, just to make sure that you're getting proper, I guess you call it anti-skating, although there's technically no real anti-skating adjustments there. You want to make sure that the tone arm is always perfectly flat and level so that you get proper tracking. But despite the fact that it was fussy, I absolutely loved it. Oh, and over here you have your, I think, it's been so long I can't remember, but I think it's on-off 3345, separate adjustments for 3345, and I think that's the vacuum adjustment as well. So the vacuum adjustment for the platter, it's adjustable. So you can go from low to mid, so it's adjustable. You can increase or decrease the amount of vacuum you want. Some people are very concerned about how vacuums might actually damage the record. I don't think that, frankly, that is a real concern, especially with the Sota. They were designed so that the vacuum was just enough to hold the record down, but never that much that could damage the record. And of course, that's the smart clamp. So once you put your record down, you put this down, and then you clamp it like that, and then you adjust the vacuum. So anyway, this is another one of my toys. I absolutely loved it. One of these days, I'm going to get my turntable guy to set it all up for me, and then we'll have fun doing that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.